Good morning, good night, and good evening, everyone, and my loyal subscribers. Welcome back. We got some Hindenburg for you. Hindenburg, the Tier 10 German heavy cruiser. Well worth the grind. As you can see, I've got over $500,000 on this ship. This ship is one of my favorites. I love this ship. I really love Hindenburg. Now, right off the bat, without the contributor flag like I have, the military month one, not the CC one or anything. 50% to credits, 105 to ship XP, 115 to commander XP, and then with the bonus package plus the clan is 150 to command free XP. So that's actually very decent. You get a victory, you'll probably be popping around 1,000 free XP per battle in it, so not too bad. Armor-wise, she has similar Des Moines kind of armor. At 27mm bow, then she gets like increased side plating, 40mm, then 110. Torpedo belt of 30mm, side plating of 30, and then the same kind of armor of 90mm, and then the 27mm classic. Now, we pull this armor away. You do see that here is her citadel, and it is a turtleback. But even though it is a turtleback, she does have 27mm bow. And that is overmatchable by the ships you will face. Mainly the battleships can't overmatch your bow. And as you can see, if they go right through that front plating, yeah, that will go straight to your citadel. Same for the back. So you have to be aware. If you can bounce on that belt armor on the 30mm plating on your side here, and then that 110, if you can bounce on that armor there, she is a very tanky cruiser. Very tanky, like without a doubt. Survivability wise, 51,900, 13% torpedo reduction. She can take European torps. She can do that. But if you take constant, DD torps, like anything other than a pan-European destroyer, you're screwed. It will eat your health away. But if you're taking torps on a German cruiser, you might be doing something wrong. I'm sorry, but you might be doing something wrong because you do get German hydro. Artillery-wise, she gets 12 203mm guns. These do get the improved German penetration. So, minimum reload of 10 seconds, minimum switch time of 6 seconds, 20-second 180, 163 to max dispersion, 20-kilometer range, 2,500 of max damage, 13% of fire, 51 armor pin. Velocity on both the AP and the HE is 925, with the AP doing about 6,000 a shell. So, very decent. Again, these shells do get very flat arch, not railgun velocity, but they are pretty flat at around 10 kilometers, so you can use the AP and chunk broadsides. Beyond that, you want to be using HE because you do get that improved HE penetration. And most of the ships you'll face, you will just pin their decks continuously. The only ones that you may have trouble pinning will probably be the Russian battleships, but you can still farm them pretty consistently. Now the sorry, on the secondaries, I forgot that. 3-second reload, 8.7 kilometer range. So that's actually very decent. Now, 1,200 max damage, 5% of fires, and only a 26 armor pin. So not the best. So don't rely on these secondaries. They're more there for the AA. Torpedoes, only 6 kilometers, 64 knots. They have a 6-second 180, minute and a half reload. They do about 14,000 damage, and these torpedoes really are only for end-game purposes when you're, let's say 2/3 health, and you're pushing it on, battleships or stationary cruisers and can then torp them. Basically, at that point, you want to be sure that you are within 3 to 4 kilometers. They have no chance of escaping you. They're dead. You live. Basically, as simple as that. Depth charges, they are in the back. They do 2,200 max damage, 2 bomb charges, 8 bombs in a load, 40-second reload. Again, they are in the back. So if let's say you catch the sub on the surface with your hydro. Assuming let's just go say he's a poor sub player. You catch him on the surface, you HE him, he dives, you close in on him, you have your hydro running, max detection at 2 kilometers, and then you basically depth charge him. Again, that's assuming he doesn't shotgun you. So you do have to worry about shotgunning in this ship. But since you're a kiter and you usually won't be playing super from the front, you should be okay. Now, AA-wise, the rating is 84, and her AA is actually very decent. Not enough to repel, tier 10 planes. You can give them a little bloody nose. But against tier 8 ships, you'll be able to survive, let's be honest. Now, she gets basically the 20 millimeters dual mounts. So I'll bring those up for you. 4 dual mount, 20 millimeters. Then she gets the classic quad mount 20 millimeters. Then she gets her 58 millimeter single mounts. She gets 2 of those guys. And then she gets more of these 57s and dual mounts, or 55s and dual mounts. Then her secondaries, basically her 8 secondary guns. Yeah, her secondaries equal her more AA. So a continuous damage of 423. You do see, though, that the majority of that is in medium range and long range AA. And the shell explosion costs 1,540. So it's mainly in that medium to short range, or that medium to long range AA. But that is still consistent. That's where the CV is going to be dropping. If they get within that, that short range AA, it's not going to be effective. But you do see, though, that at 4 kilometers and 5.2, the 5.2 max range is pretty pitiful. That is pretty low. But against tier 8 CVs, you'll be able to survive. If it's a bad tier 10 player, you might be able to survive a little bit. But just beware of that. Maneuverability, 31.5 knots, 800 turning circle, and a rudder shift and a minimum rudder shift of 7.8. Now the concealment, there is some flexibility in the concealment. I have mine set for 14 kilometers. Because I play mine different. But let's get into her equipment so you can see how I run her. So, I run main armaments 1, hydro search modification 1 for the 20% extra boost since it is a German, aiming systems mod 1, steering gears, and then I do upgraded damage control equipment, which is the legendary mod for the Hindenburg. As you can see, it drastically reduces flood time, fire time, main battery repair time, and then the rudder shift of minus 20%. So basically, plus the 20, that basically drops it down to a minus 40 rudder shift. So you become very maneuverable. Now you could do reload, but I like to do range because I like to have that flexibility. Now for consumables, she gets repair party, max 4 charges of hydroacoustic search. So they detect ships at 6 kilometers, detection of torps at 4, subs at max depth 2 kilometers. They have an action time of 140 seconds and a cooldown of 2 minutes. So fairly decent. Again, spotter plane, I usually go with more spotter plane because, I was just shoot over islands compared to fighter. So you'll get 5 charges of that. You have a pretty decent cooldown. You have an action time of 100 seconds, so close to about a minute and a half. But you have a long reload of around what is that, 4 minutes? So you got to use these guys sparingly. But that's why I run range, so I don't have to use the spotting plane. I use the spotting plane to get shoot over islands more and get those targets that are behind the rock. And then you get 5 heals fully spec'd into it. So, very decent. Now, for my build, I go grease the gears, gun feeder, priority target, adrenaline rush, superintendent, concealment expert, and top grade gunner. Now, if you wanted to mix things up a little, you could take off priority target and put in consumable enhancements, and then put one skill into, well, incoming fire alert, which would basically be like priority target. It just doesn't tell you how many. So that would free up 2 points. After that, since I'd have 2 points left over, that's where it gets really confusing. Honestly, I would probably go for... Honestly, if I switched it out for consumable enhancements and put that in, I'd have like 1 point left over. Or actually, no, yeah, I'd have 2 points left over. No. I'd have several points left over, so if I put consumable enhancements on and took that, I'd still have like 2 points left over. So oddly enough, I probably would take Demolition Expert. It wouldn't add a massive amount to your DPM, but it would increase it just a little bit. And since you are setting fires and burning stuff, that's how I would do it. Personally, that's just what I would do. Now, for camouflage, this is her standard camouflage that you can get. Again, since there's no economic boost, there's not really no point. You can run her naked. If you have the alternative one, that's the alternative. The alternative is actually not that bad. Now, the Century Hawk is the space camouflage. Sorry. And that's what it looks like. It's not bad. Now, since I actually was around for the raid to the filth, I have the Infernal camo that's attachable, and that's what gave me my permanent boost, or my economic bonus. But I run the Infernal camo on it. I think it just looks good on a Hindenburg. But that's just me. Now, let's get into the actual replay, and we'll show you how Hindenburg does it. Good morning, good night, and good evening, my fellow subscribers and loyal followers. Today, I've got some Hindenburg. So, I'm teamed up with Eck from Bonky, myself, and Scott Rocks 14 from XPN. So we got some really good players. And Ozal, Hindenburg, and Gdansk. So really great ships. And, well, you can read what we're against. So I'll bring that up for you. It's not an easy fight, that's for sure. The ships are good. So, usually we're thinking, okay, we'd all go into one side. Well, on this side, I know that from experience, C is usually one of the caps to always fall. Because people run away or just don't really defend it that well. And even if the enemy does try to take it, they don't really put up a fight. And Hindenburg is a kiting ship. It excels at being able to farm. So I'm going to put my ship in that situation. Eck is going to go down to help A. Gdansk is going to try for B. Unfortunately, his plans get spoiled because of the, CV that comes in. And spots me, spots pretty much every battleship. So let's bring that around. I mean, I'm detected. I would imagine our big battleships are detected. And it's not fun. And watch what starts shooting me. I got cross shots coming in from all the way over at A. I got cross shots coming from north of B. And then I have cross shots coming above C. So I literally just turn in just a little bit. I still take about almost 10k damage. But that could have been worse. Then I activate priority sector to try to get this out. And then we should start seeing cross shots. There's the cross shots from B. And there's the cross shots from A. Or C. C and B. Both Montana shooting at me. Fortunately, the shell arcs are pretty bad, so I'm able to just, turn and get away from them. Real easy. Now, again, approaching A from the enemy side is very hard to do. Because of the way that cap is made, our side has the advantage at capturing A, but it's the complete opposite at C, where it favors the red team. B is kind of, well, both can go both ways. It just depends on who's there and who can take advantage of it. We know the DD is there, the Grozavoy. We know the Grozavoy is there, so and he's detecting us. I'm kind of I will be telling the CV, hey, I need you to go spot here because I can technically shoot the Grozavoy. But I'm helping, the Conde, our Mogador, and our Ohio farm down this Montana. We get a fire on him. And he's letting it burn for right now. But that Montana's already at half health. And we're not even 4 minutes into the battle, which is not great for him. Now, we do know there's a DD there. I pop my Hydro, because I'm just going to rush. I know what's there, and I'm not totally scared. Yes, there is a Montana, and there's an Edgar, and there's a battleship. The weaker battleship I'm not really worried about. The Edgar I can deal with. I don't know why our Ohio turned in. I think he wanted to go for the Edgar, which I totally understand. But I mean, you see all that fire, and you would think the Edgar would turn. Unfortunately, our Ohio takes a pretty good salvo from, well, the DD. And that Edgar has to burn a heal if he's going to live. But I'm pushing in with this, Ohio, because, one, I have Hydro, and he knows I have Hydro, so I'm helping him. I switch back to HE, and I'm going to help get this Tier 9 DD down. We do take a pretty good hit from Montana there, but considering they lose their DD, and it's a good DD, it's worth it. The focus is keeping that Ohio alive, because we will need him. One of their Montes is almost down. The Edgar's turning back in. So there is that Montana, and we will need that Montana for, well, the next stage. And I am sitting, well, basically broadside to the Ohio, to that Montana, which I am aware of. Just turn silently and negate the damage. Fire another salvo with the Edgar, because it is a broadside Edgar super ship. So you're going to get good XP off of it. And 4 Citadels, and we basically pretty much wiped out that Edgar's health all on our own. Now we just go away from the Monty, and we burn him down. There's one fire. He's going to let it burn because you don't DCP one fire. He shoots me again. Now our Conde and our Mogador can literally just steamroll through that flank. We've cleared the way for them. Their Grozavoy is smoking their Montana up to try to help them. I switched to the Grozavoy because the DD equals more XP. And the more damage we put on that Grozavoy, the more that it's easier for our team to kill him. And he has to basically speed boost out of there. Fortunately, due to the, the smoke and everything, the Montana loses his sight on me, which isn't a good thing for him. We do get detected again, but that Monty literally has to turn his focus back and forth. He can either shoot the Conde, or he can shoot me. Yes, I am still basically broadside, but I just angle just enough and maneuver just enough to avoid all of his shells. And I have a fire on him now, so he's going to burn. And, well, basically for every salvo he puts out, I can put like 2 to 3 salvos down on him. So, he's basically, screwed. The Conde is basically a better Henri. Our Ohio puts a really good salvo into him, but then Monty returns salvo. Hits him pretty good. But it's not looking good for that Montana. It really isn't. And that Montana is part of that division with the Marseille the Montana, and the CV. So taking him down basically helps clear the side down. And it doesn't look like much, but just from this side, in 8 minutes, we're at 140,000. So that's pretty good in Hindenburg. I've had better matches in the Hindenburg, but Hindenburg has been a tried and true ship. If you can master the art of kiting and farming without taking significant damage, you'll do really well in the Hindenburg. Hindenburg has always been a good ship. It gets that improved German HE, so you don't need to take IFHE. It pins literally the majority of the ships it faces. It farms Yamatos, the ship with the biggest guns. It hurts Montanas. It hurts Ohios. A lot of ships that you will be facing that are extremely powerful, it hurts. And our Gdansk is going back in to beat. He's asking me, what's the Grozavoy's health? And I'm like saying, it's super low. Like, by the time, and I didn't see it, but you'll see what his health ends up like. But they basically cleared up the other side. The other side is, fallen. The A side, if you screw up pushing the A side, you literally lose the match. Same with the C side. But we've literally held the C side. We took out half their best ships. And there's the Grozavoy. He's literally at 1,600 health. And the Gdansk basically was able to DPM him down. So, the Marseille does kill our Conde. And you know where the CV is going to be. He's going to be right on that rock at literally A3. That is literally the textbook CV rock where every CV goes to hide. And we're going to take their C cap. And basically, they do get the point lead, but we're going to get it back. We've got the kills. We've got the time. Without a doubt. So there is no, true worry. Without a doubt. I mean, we're going to be fine. We do try to put a little bit of damage down on that Marseille to help. And the CV is going to kill, Gdansk. Gdansk is going to have a good time. He does get one torp on the Marseille. But those torps are European. They don't do a lot of damage. And he gets punished real hard. But the Marseille, in terms of dealing with the Gdansk, opens himself up to the Mogador. Because look where the Mogador is. And look where even though he could just repair his tubes and basically Marseille beaches and takes literally all those torps from the Mogador. And gets screwed. Now Mogador is being, and I'm rushing towards him because I'm trying to help him live. Trying to get within my AA so I can help him live. They do pick up the Moskva down south. So literally it's just the CV left. So we have a cap. We've done decent damage to a DD. That all equals really good XP. You could do, a mediocre game damage like this. But you'd be surprised on the amount that you might get at the very end.
Unser Team hat die Führung übernommen.
And like I said, he's at A3. Load HE. I had an AP salvo, so why not just shoot it? Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe he'll turn out and some of it'll arm. Most of it bounces, unfortunately. He does pick up the Mogador, but with me spotting him, he's screwed. Plus the CV there with his fighter. He's not going dark. And he's just, at this point, free damage for us. But even with that 50, I think it's like 56 millimeter penetration on the HE shells, that CV still weathers it pretty good. And I'm aiming for the upper part, because that's usually the squishiest part where the HE will pin. He does have Luchins on there, because you can see the tracers coming in, which is smart to carry Luchins on a carrier. But unfortunately, Immelman's, you know, average at best. We dodge his torps. And we have AP loader. Maybe we'll get lucky. We do about 20. We would have done better with HE. But Eck picks it up. We cross 100 and we end up with 182,000. So, a good match. So, looking at the end score, 182,000, 1 kill, 8 planes, 12,000 ship XP, 1,400, well, free XP, and 830,000 credits. Now looking at the team score, 2,900 base XP. More than 1,000 compared to any of them on our team. Eck is only at the very bottom with, well, 1,079. Then Gdansk with Scott is at 1,294. But then here I am at the very top with 2,994 or 2,894. That's a significant amount compared to what your team is. Now let's go to the detailed report. Like I said, 47,000 to Hindenburg, 58,000 to Montana, 35,000 to Immelman, 23,000 to the other Montana, only 7,600 to the DD, 6,000 to basically the Marseille, and then 3,300 to the Grozavoy. Wasn't a huge lot, but when we add up the cap plus the DD damage and everything, it does add up. It's just little tiny things. And then since the Edgar was a super ship, you get that up tier bonus too. So you get little tiny things that add up at the very end. Now for damage we took not much. Most of our damage came from that one Montana shell that hit us for 30, from the Montana that hit us over the course of the match for 32,000. The CV didn't do much. In terms of CV, he maybe did like 20,000, 12,000 in torpedoes, and then only, surprisingly, it was 7,200 in bombs. He didn't really do much to us. Now, for final credits, we ended up over 500,000. We're close to almost 700,000 a profit, which is really great. Again, decent amount of little free XP. Commander XP, it's average at best. But we did accomplish one other thing. It doesn't show it, but we managed to get a Halsey mission done, which was do 150,000 in a cruiser and survive the battle. So that was really great to get that mission done. But a really good display of Hindenburg that shows that, yes, it's a really good ship being a kiter and being able to just fight the battle that it wants to. If you can do that, you'll do really well in the Hindenburg.